Welcome in. It is Raiders Training Camp Special. The 2024 season has kicked off as far as training camp is concerned, and you can see there all the Raiders out there stretching, getting ready for their first day of practices. Welcome in. I'm Amber Theo Harris, along with Eric Allen and JT the Brick right here in Costa Mesa, California, new training camp home for the Raiders. Great to be out here, and most importantly, JT and Eric, just good to see you guys and to be talking a little Raiders football.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to be out here. It's a phenomenal day. Good to see everybody back together again.
You know, the first day for us and the players, it's a special day. You know, I always kind of put myself in a situation where you line up right behind the cornerbacks and you kind of just reminisce a little bit about the days of old. But it's a great spot for the Raiders to be in, and looking for some good things today.
How much you want to get out there? Do you watch them out there and go, I got one left?
Maybe two plays.
Maybe two, and then I got to tap out.
That's
it is
right.
exciting to see everybody back out here, especially in the Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco era. This is the first time that this group is together at a training camp, and having practices here in California is for team building.
Yeah.
It is about bringing this team together, and what you've seen, Eric, in your experience, have you ever did a training camp where you went away?
Yeah.
And what's the difference?
Yeah, you know what? In 14 years of playing, I always went away. And I thought that was a great opportunity for the players to kind of come together and kind of isolate yourself a little bit, particularly when you're a younger player, to kind of see how you practice, see how the veterans get it done. It's all about football for that first 2 or 3 weeks, and that's what it needs to be. So I love the aspect of going away, kind of sheltering, you know, getting that camaraderie together. And JT, you've been around and seen so many camps. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't know how you can do it any other way, because imagine if you're a veteran in any city and after practice and meetings you're able to go home, chip dog ball, go to the pool, do whatever you want to do. You have to have this camaraderie with you're eating with your teammates, you're going to meetings together, you're getting to know the new younger players. So I believe it's the only way to do it, and I think that Antonio Pierce is going to relish this because, as EA and I were talking earlier today, last year ended with some really good momentum, and now the team is better. We have a better roster. There's just better players, veterans coming in here, but I'm excited about these rookies.
Yeah.
And I think the rookies want to be around the veterans as much as possible.
Yeah, 25 rookies in camp. That is the 8 drafted and 17 undrafted free agents, and this is going to be an opportunity. There's always an undrafted rookie free agent that emerges, and Tom Telesco, this was his first draft as a Raider, but if you look back at his draft history, especially the past several years with the Chargers, he puts together rosters, and there's that feeling within the Raiders right now. Starting off, though, with the news that Jackson Powers-Johnson is going to start, one of the rookies that is a lot of people are excited about holding down that right guard spot, second rounder, that he is starting on the PUP list. I know, JT, what do you know about that?
Don't know much. I think most of it's precautionary going forward. That's the way I'm playing it here. I spent a lot of time with him in the offseason, and this guy's unbelievable. He was born to be a Raider. He can quote the autumn wind in an interview. So, you know, it's the beginning. He was around a lot, and I hope whatever they tell us in regards to his status, I'm sure it's mostly precautionary, and we'll get a chance to see him. But Amber, he's a really important piece. He's a rookie starter, impact guy. He could be one of the better players on this offensive line, along with Colton Miller. So we want to see these guys bring him along at the right pace. The Raiders and the team trainers will tell us when that's right, but this is go time coming up here in a couple of weeks, because these preseason games are more important than any I remember in quite some time. We got a head coach behind us who said yesterday they're going to play. They're going to play in the preseason.
All healthy
guys.
guys.
To play.
Take advantage
because
of
the
it.
first 2 games of the year are on the road at the Chargers and the Ravens, and the Raiders got to hit the ground running hard.
Guys, so critical that the offensive line is kind of intact. We're coming off the last couple of years. We're being kind of up and down until almost regular season.
Yeah.
I think these preseason games are really critical because you only get 3, but we need to establish that offensive line. So it's going to be very important that the young fella gets up and running, and he has a great personality.
He does fit in.
He kind of jumps off the screen at you, but it's really important that this offensive line gets intact so we can dominate the line of scrimmage.
And a lot of questions on the offensive line, especially the right side, but that's one of the reasons that Tom Telesco spent all of day 2 selecting offensive linemen in the draft. You can't forget about DJ Glaze as well. He's going to get an opportunity. And then Thayer Mumford, getting to see what he can do at right tackle as well. And we should mention that Colton Miller is also starting on the PUP. But what that means, just so people know, is you can activate them at any time. And August 27th is the cutoff date. So it's not as if they're not going to be ready for the season just because they start on the PUP list.
And I want to get into Thea Mumford for a second because I spent some time with him this offseason, and he wants that job. And for years, I've been calling for a right tackle to come in as a veteran. Go get someone established. He's kind of changed my mind. He is not defensive on it, but he wants everybody to know that's his spot. Watch him this camp. He's super fit. He's ready to go. He's been here before. He had a lot of snaps last year, and he feels like he's easily the guy out there. So I'm going to be watching him a lot because the ability of Zamir White to run the football. Have you seen him yet? I know Raider fans are tweeting me pictures of this guy. As I've told everybody, I have not seen a running back. If you go back to Earl Campbell and the guys who were just overly big and fit, he got a lot bigger.
He did. That was the number one thing I noticed.
And I was talking to a couple of people off the field today. I know he's going to be great in short yardage, but does he have the pop to go 40 or 50 yards? Everybody says yes, because his speed has not decreased. So here's a guy who put on mass, more weight, and is as fast as he was when he came in as a rookie.
And you have to put on that mass because you're going to run the football 25, times a game.
It's going to be
You're going to be the guy, right? You got to establish the running game. That's what this football team is really about. When you start to talk to the personnel, the coaches, you understand offensively, you got to dominate the line of scrimmage. And that's a really huge factor in how you want to build this culture.
And Brock Bowers, we have to bring him up. He was the first draft pick for the Raiders. It's exciting to see what this 12 personnel is going to look like. A lot of question marks because we don't know what a Luke Getsy offense essentially looks like. Is it when he was working with Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, when Aaron Rodgers was a back-to-back MVP with the Packers? Or, was it when he was with the Bears and he had a running quarterback with Justin Fields? So he has a lot of options here, but I think Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, who was a second-round draft pick last year, that is going to, I think, be a big benefit. It's hard for defenses to go up against 12 personnel that's effective.
Guys, I bet you that interview process with Coach Antonio Pierce and Luke, it was about, hey, are you going to run the football? Can you run the football? Find a way to get it done up front. It's so critical, like I keep saying. But Luke is a guy who can get it done in multiple ways. If you have a running quarterback, can get it done. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, one of the best guys to ever do it. We don't have that capacity right now. But our skill position guys are so good, are underrated in the National Football League. So, again, I think if you're able to dictate and find ways to run the football and get the play action going, no matter what quarterback it is, take advantage of those outstanding, skilled athletes that we have.
Amber, I can do a 2-hour radio show here every day for 11 days just on Brock Bowers. I am all in on this guy, and let me explain why. He's the greatest tight end in the history of college football, no debate. He won 2 Mackey Awards, 2 national championships. No one's ever done that. He's on the Mount Rushmore of Georgia players to ever play. That includes Richard Seymour, Herschel Walker, the legends. He's in the top 4 ever to play. It was a gift from the sports gods to get him. He dropped all the way to the Raiders at 13. I had him going anywhere from 7 to 10. The fact that the Raiders got him means that he has to be great and elite, a perennial Pro Bowler. As a rookie, he could be that type of guy. You can get him the ball at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. I haven't seen a guy on tape who can catch a 5-yard slant route and beat corners and safeties to the end zone. He is critical to the success of this team this year. And as I've been saying, it shouldn't take long to get him going. This doesn't need to be a process with him. It doesn't need, well, let's see what he does his first year. Let's see what happens in the first 6 games. We could have this guy exploding week 1 right down the road at SoFi against the Chargers. He's got to be ready. I am all in on him. Again, a gift that we got him. We got to utilize him here in camp and get him going.
One day we'll all thank the Falcons for taking Michael Penix at 8, even though it confused the crap out of everybody at the time. I want to talk a little bit about this defense, not just getting Christian Wilkins, which is huge. I think the defensive line is going to be probably the best in football. But the cornerback position, another gift from the gods was getting Jack Jones from the Patriots, who they released that Antonio Pierce knew, brought him in, had some big plays at the end of last year, so we know that he's secure there. But I got to ask you, EA, about DeCamerion Richardson, one of the young draft picks. What are you expecting from him, and what are some of the challenges as a young defensive back to come into camp?
Very competitive, and that's what you want in this football team. Of course, you have Jack, who's going to really be the solidified #1 cornerback on that side. Then that backside, you have to have competition over there. We need an outside guy who can make some plays, who can force quarterbacks into throwing the ball back over to Jack. And that's what the really critical issue is here is there's going to be so much competition at that right cornerback that you have to find a way to get these guys playing in the preseason games. I think that's critical, and that's important to have these guys playing in the game so you can kind of see who is making those strides, who is getting the job done in practice, who is getting the job done in the preseason games.
I love what you're saying there. Remember, Tom Telesco still has more money to go out and get a camp cut down at a starting cornerback position. So when I look at Jacorian Bennett and what they've done in the draft, it's go time. We know that Jack's starting on one side, and Faison can play. And the rest of this team is going to have really fierce competition at the other corner.
That's what it's
but
about.
Look around the rest of the league, too. I don't think the Raiders are done at that position. I don't think the Raiders are done at wide receiver for a couple of reasons we just found out, other than Davante and Jacoby and Trey and what's going to happen there. But I think the Raiders are still going to take a look around the league and see what veteran corners are available. And if not, they're going to have to go with someone who's going to be able to play and not have, Amber, those dual practices, which I loved over the years. To see how they can play against real-time players for other teams. So that's going to be critical here. And the defensive side of the football, and Patrick Graham, he's got to come up with that second starting corner, I think, pretty quick here in the next 2 weeks, so we're all aware of who it's going to be.
I mean, especially in this division, right? Especially when you got Patrick Mahomes slinging the ball and Justin Herbert slinging the ball as well. Let's talk about the Raiders quarterback situation. There's no doubt that this offense, defense, the structure of this team is expected to be kind of old school ground and pound. You run the ball first, you win with defense. However, play action pass, relying on the run game to set up the pass game is going to be part of this offense. And Aiden O'Connell comes in after playing in 11 games, starting 10. He goes 5 and 4 as a starter. So a winning record. And then they bring in Gardner Minshew, who almost got the Colts into the playoffs. I mean, that was one drop, a backup running back, fourth down drop away from getting to the playoffs for the Colts. So how do you see this playing out, Eric?
Well, when you look at the quarterback situation, obviously it's a situation where you want Aiden O'Connell to be a successful guy. He's built for this offense, but there's going to be situations where, listen, you're not going to be able to.
There's Michael Mayer behind you getting very excited next to Brock Bowers, by the way.
Big Mike.
You can see 88, and we got all the tight ends, 88, 87. Those are the tight ends getting ready, and whoever throws the ball to them, they're going to be a threat.
Good segue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, offensively, we understand we want to run the football, but defense understand that too. So they're going to force you to throw the ball. So that's going to be the situations where can Aiden get in and out of plays quickly. If he's not able to do that, is Gardner Minshew going to be able to utilize his ability outside the pocket on broken plays to be successful? And again, that's why preseason is so important. If you get your opportunity to run with the ones, you got to show that you can make plays outside the pocket if you're Aiden O'Connell. We understand that. But if you're Gardner Minshew, you got to make sure that you can make plays inside the pocket.
Exactly.
So all those things, the weaknesses that we kind of see in your game, you got to shore it up here in training camp to make sure we're focused on getting the job done.
We know this is the only big-time, high-profile quarterback competition in the entire NFL. Right here. This is it. And it's 1 and 1A. And they're going to fight it out, and whoever deserves it is going to start. But the way I see this going forward, Coach Pierce pretty much told everybody that Aiden will get the first snap. Now, is that the first snap of camp? Is it the first snap of the preseason? Is it the first snap of the regular season? You mentioned it, Amber. He went 5 and 4 down the stretch. The all-time franchise leader when it came to 63 points in a game. We got Stabler, we had Gannon, we had Plunkett. He didn't throw every touchdown in that game, but his name is on that list.
Right.
That's an all-time Raider game. Even though he didn't have a big game in Kansas City, he was the quarterback that beat the Chiefs. In Kansas City, that means a lot. I want to see him do well. Fortunately, he played a lot last year for him individually. Unfortunately, he had to play because of Jimmy Garoppolo's injury. I think he's done everything in the offseason to earn this spot, and I think Gardner's going to push him really heavy. We're going to know by week 3 of the regular season who the starting quarterback is for the rest of the season. So I'm looking at 3 preseason games and the first 2 road games of the year. That's plenty of time to figure out who's going to be the starting quarterback, and I think it'll be evident to everyone going into the preseason and coming out of it who the starter will be.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to watch Gardner Minshew, as you're saying, not only in the preseason games, but here in camp, because we do know he's a more mobile quarterback. He has the ability to scramble outside of the pocket. But they have the, and I say luxury for us, of having this defense to go up against, right? And to them, it might not be a luxury, but Antonio Pierce gets a really good look against a top-notch defense. And you almost think that kind of might benefit Gardner Minshew, because with this pass rush, with Maxx Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz coming off the edges, Gardner Minshew is going to show the ability to scramble and make some plays. What are you expecting? We know what Aiden has done well, which is, really can sit inside the pocket. What does Gardner bring that is different?
Well, Gardner being mobile and being just in the league longer, I think can break down a defense quicker than Aiden O'Connell. He should be able to. He's a veteran here. He can move outside the pocket. He should be able to make a good decision. Look, Aiden looks to be a classic drop-back quarterback. Give him time in a safe pocket. He'll throw a beautiful deep ball. He'll hook up with Davante, as we've seen. But if there's a little bit of chaos in a game and the pocket breaks down, I have confidence that Gardner can read that quicker, get outside, and pick up a first down. Amber, what I think is going to be key to this year, we don't know what Luke Getsy wants to do yet. But he has all of these great weapons in front of him. And I think it's going to be really important who gets the ball out of their hands quicker to Bowers and Davante. Davante runs inside slants, right? We're not talking 9 routes. We're just talking quick passes. Get the ball to the 2 best playmakers on this team. With all due respect to Jacoby Myers and Trey Tuckers, Bowers moves up. Bowers is not the 5th option here or the 3rd. He's the 2nd, in my opinion.
He was brought in to be the Travis Kelce.
He is. So get him the ball quickly so you don't have to make long decisions where you could get clipped by a sack or a strip sack. I think Gardner Minshew has the advantage there. But if Getsy can clean this pocket up quickly and this offensive line gets better, and I think they will, then it sets up for Aiden to have a little bit more time. And he's got a rifle. He's got a cannon. And he'll have an opportunity really to explode in this offense.
Why is it so difficult, EA, to defend a route runner like Davante that can run those slants to the middle, and then at the same time maybe you have Brock Bowers, who is going to be a playmaker in the middle of the field? I mean, we saw the way that Travis Kelce at times dissected the Raiders' defense last year in the middle of the field, going downfield, and that is expected to be Brock Bowers this year.
Yeah, exactly. When you're talking about defenses in the National Football League, a lot of guys want to put pressure on the quarterback, obviously. I think that's what you want to do. But to be able to do that, you have to have coverage skills to be able to lock down those guys like Davante. Davante has really created a whole different concept as far as route running is concerned. He sets you up with all of his individual moves at the top of his route, and then he options off of your leverage. So it's very difficult. So what you have to do now is you have to put pressure on the quarterback to speed up that timing. And I think that's what's happening now. But defensively, you got to find a way to speed up the timing if you're covering a guy like Davante, or if Brock Bowers is in the backfield or on a slot player. It's all about speeding up the timing for your defense so your offense doesn't have time to be able to set things up and get the double moves and things like that. So that's the whole process. That's the chess match on every week, is trying to find out how you can dictate on offense, and then defensively how you can speed up the quarterback and sack the quarterback, put him on the ground.
We just finished watching Netflix Receivers. Everybody did. Davante was the star of that show, and it wasn't for the right reason. He got blown up a lot. He loves Las Vegas. He loves being a Raider. That's a fact. Everyone knows that. But the national media didn't know that. So the national media took the clips of him last year, not the last 2 weeks, last year, and said, well, Davante wasn't happy. Davante was fine. There was just some games where he got blown up over the middle of the field.
And we all said that. It was obvious to everybody. There was one point I thought he's going to get hurt.
And, the difference between us and Netflix, I didn't hear that audio. We didn't hear it. Right? Because we weren't micing him up. It was Netflix micing him up. So when I heard that, I just looked at it a different way. I said, this is a guy who's passionate to win now. So now he's at another camp with the Raiders. As I said in the series, he's got to be fed constantly. He's the best player in Costa Mesa. He's the best player by far. Max is the best player on defense. Just keep going back to him.
Feed him.
Feed him. Get him the ball early, and it's going to open up single coverage for Michael Mayer, Trey Tucker, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers. I think that's going to be the key to this year. I think Davante is on a mission. because he's been all over the media the last 2 or 3 weeks. Now he gets to come back here and do what he does best, play football with his teammates.
Seems easy. Now you just got to go execute it, right? That's the plan. Just got to go do it out on the field. JT, so much fun hanging out with you. Thanks for stopping by. Coming up next, what is the national media, as JT brings up, saying about not only Davante Adams, but about the potential for this defense and the quarterback battle? We're going to be joined by Steve Wyche from NFL Media coming up next right here on Raiders Training Camp Special.
For 65 years, the Raiders have been rooted in tradition, steeped in pride,
Let's smoke on, let's talk on. The Raiders goddamn way.
and covered in excellence. Now, the 2024 season is approaching.
Vegas, we here.
New faces, new mindset, same message.
Just win.
By consensus, this is the #1 tight end in the 2024 draft class.
The chase to taste greatness has begun.
You don't love this shit.
And these dogs are starving.
Training Camp Special, and we're joined now by one of my favorite men in all the media, NFL Media, Steve Wyche. Not only a great journalist, but just a really great all-around dude. And I always love to get his perspective. EA, we're friends. I text him. What do you think about this? What do you think about this, Steve? I'm like, I'm coming over to your house for dinner later. Steve, let's talk a little bit about the national perspective, because the Raiders really caught the national media's attention at the end of last year, not just because of the storylines of AP and the energy and the culture change, but the defense ended up in the top 10 as far as scoring defenses is concerned. How has that led into some big expectations for 2024?
They're huge, because everyone knows the defense is going to be the backbone of this team. I mean, scoring points are going to be hard to come by with so many unknowns offensively. So the defense is going to have to keep them in the game. And when you go out and you land the big fish of free agency on defense and Christian Wilkins at D-tackle, and you know he's going to be there with Kuntz. You know he's going to be there with Maxx Crosby. And that defensive front, the expectations are going to be, among the best in the NFL, Eric. And so they set the tone. And so that's going to be the big thing when you look at the Raiders. You say, okay, what are their biggest strengths? It is the defense, what Patrick Graham was able to finally do with the putty he inherited a couple years ago, and then adding pieces to it. That is going to be the backbone, and they should be, again, a top 10 defense again this year.
I'm glad you brought up Coach Graham. I think Coach Graham, through all of this, has found a way to kind of interject his style of play into this defense, and we saw it later on in the year. Just great, outstanding effort from all the guys because of big Maxx Crosby. Right. And Max going to kind of set the tone. And then what about Malcolm Kuntz? I mean, Malcolm Kuntz, a younger guy.
Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that
off
coming.
The edge.
Yep.
And a lot of that goes directly to the coaching style of both AP and Coach Graham, right?
Right. I mean, look, and Coach Graham, the biggest thing that defense has to do on the edge, you have to set the edge in the run game.
Yeah.
And I'm sure and that's what Kuntz. I mean, Kuntz doing that, and then they get Tyree Wilson, they reduce him inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's probably going to be better suited, going back and forth. But to reduce that inside and to go 5 men across the front, like they like to do sometimes, again, that defensive front is going to be a tone setter for a lot of teams around the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't even talked about the linebacker core of Robert Spillane and Masterson and a healthy Devon Diablo coming into this. So So the front seven is exciting. But I think one of the big storylines from last year that must have been fun to cover in the national media is the emergence of Jack Jones.
Yeah.
Just didn't fit into the Patriot way, did he? But he sure fit into the Raider way.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen that where just a change of scenery with possibly a coach that understands how to coach certain players can really change their career around?
Well, and you know this playing the position that you played. When it comes to defensive backs, it is all about the scheme and how you are used. There are some guys who are great zone corners who all of a sudden get asked to play press man, and they don't do it well. Not because they can't do it, because the whole schematics of how the defense runs. Right. So he came into a scheme where he was asked to do certain things that played to his strengths. Boy, what a novel idea.
Yeah, right.
And so that's why you saw him excel, and now he's coming into this season knowing he is going to be that guy on the corner, and as we talked about with the rush they're going to have, he's not going to have to hold up for 4 and 5 seconds because Crosby and those guys are going to get to him earlier. So that's a big thing. But Jack Jones, I mean, it's funny because you see him, and again, no slight, you're like, that thing's so small.
I know.
And then you realize how much of a dog he is.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, he's a good player, and
just a really
Graham, and that scheme is
it just really worked out for him. Just the relationship, and we've talked about this several times. The relationship with him, going back to high school, right, with AP, and then bringing him over from USC to ASU. So the relationship was strong. I think he understand that AP had confidence in him and just allowed him to really kind of craft his ability to be able to make some plays. And I tell you, I haven't seen a guy who is more apt at making big-time plays in a long time than Jack Jones, right?
Yeah, I mean, we saw that one-handed interception pick six. I think you remember that one.
Yeah.
That was on the highlight reels for a long time. Yeah. But there's another cornerback position open. I mean, there's Nate Hobbs out there. But as far as position competitions that we're talking about, what do you make of what's happening at corner right now?
I'm just interested to see how they design it, right? Because if you have a competition at a second corner, you see this across the league, that's where schematics kind of come in to protect that side. Or because you have a certain thing in the front, you just do certain things on the back end and make sure you don't get beat on big plays. So I'm just interested to see how they design things, Eric. And you could probably speak better to this because I think Hobbs is better suited as a slot corner, which to me is the most important position in the secondary nowadays with the tight ends or running backs.
It's crazy how that's changed. Slot corner is the most important. Didn't used to be that back in Deion's day.
Trent McDuffie and guys like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think it's going to be interesting to see how they structure things to protect that side. If they're going to ask one guy to do it, or if they're going to schematically just protect that side of the defense, if they're going to let Jack Jones travel, because he's capable of doing that. So that's where I'm kind of interested to see.
That's a great point, because when the corner travels, you have to feel comfortable that either Faison or Bennett or Cameron, one of those guys feel comfortable playing left side or right side. So it just can't be, based on, hey, this guy is a great corner. He can cover from inside, outside. How does he fit? The other guys fit around him. If you have a right cornerback, is he comfortable playing left side or ever going inside? So there's some things to be answered here this next couple of weeks for that backside corner. If he's going to be a guy like Faison, who can play off and is not really a press guy, or Bennett, who's a little faster, maybe a better fit in press man. So there's some things to be answered here in this next couple of weeks before the Raiders get started.
There's 11 corners on this roster.
So
they've got some opportunity to see a lot of different guys, and we just saw Antonio Pierce working out a couple more corners, and free agents all the time. So we have confidence that will be filled. I want to talk a little bit about 12 personnel. You've covered this league for a long time. I think probably to recent memory, the most recent team that had a lot of success, especially that I remember, was those Patriots teams, with Tom Brady, and they had Gronk, and at the time Aaron Hernandez, and Bill Belichick did that so well. How do you see this playing out? I mean, I think a lot of us were like, wow, they took a tight end, but he was the best player. The fact that he dropped to where he did, Brock Bowers, was exciting. So now we get to see an offense that has won Super Bowls before for other teams. What do you anticipate? You covered those Patriots teams.
Well, the Patriots teams, but also you look at the Ravens, right? They use a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. But to me, the team that does it better than anyone is the Detroit Lions. Right, they will come out in 12 and sometimes 22 personnel on 3rd and 10.
You are right.
And if you're a nickel defense, they'll just run it for 10 yards on you. So there are certain things you can do with the way you package your tight ends, especially if you're going 2 tight ends. Again, look at the Ravens. Sometimes they'll come out with a heavy formation, have the big fullback Ricard there, and they're throwing it, right? All of a sudden you load up in base defense, and you got a receiver who can go. You're going to do that. So that's where you match up. This is where your OC knows the other DC's tendencies. And they'll be like, okay, I'm going to put both my tight ends on one side in this game because we're going to confuse them. We have strengths. So you've got Bowers, you've got Myers, you have guys who can do different things. And that's where I think this training camp, Brock Bowers is going to be one of the fun chess pieces to watch because I think they're going to figure out what they're going to do with him.
Yeah.
Is he going to line up at H-back sometimes? Or are you going to put him outside the flank sometimes? So, again, and that's going to be, I think, an experiment through the season.
Like having 6 linemen sometimes.
Yeah, because I do think, running the football is going to be a heavy purpose of what the Raiders do, which is why I think you look at the Detroit Lions. And, again, you saw they had what Sam Laporta did as a rookie last year is kind of the number 2 tight end overall. But he was so open in the passing game because schematically they were catching teams in personnel mismatches. Yeah. That might be what the Raiders have to do to move the ball in the passing game.
I forgot about the Lions last year, but we have to let them go. So I do want to make sure that we get the quarterback question in.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the biggest. I know everybody loves quarterback. They're sexy. Although receivers are taking their spot because of Netflix right now. But we're talking about Gardner Minshew, a veteran, and Aiden O'Connell, who is somebody that showed a lot and went 5-4 and showed a need for some growth in some areas as well. How do you see this playing out? What question marks do you have?
I'm just going to go back to a conversation I had with Antonio Pierce where he basically said the winner of that position goes through Aiden O'Connell. There's something in the mentality that he's seen in Aiden O'Connell that he likes. Now, that's not to say Gardner Minshew is not going to have it, but I think, and again, you know this from your playing days, how the other 10 guys in that huddle respond to the competition, to me, is going to be the thumb on the scale, right? That's going to be, okay, we like this guy, right? We have a little more bounce to it. Let's go back to the 49ers a couple years ago when Brock Purdy enters the lineup, and you saw those dudes perk up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that's going to be what's going to determine everything. All things being equal, how do the other guys in the huddle respond? Does this guy have bounce? Does he get us moving? Are we rolling when we want to go hurry up? I think that's going to be, maybe the methodical thing works most of the situation, but how do those other 10 guys respond? I think that's going to be what tips the scale.
Something tells me they'll ask Davante his opinion.
I would hope so. He's just going to be like, whoever it is, throw the ball. Don't run as much as you think you're going to do.
Hey, Steve, it's always good to catch up with you. You catch him on NFL Insiders, right?
NFL Insiders.
NFL Network. It's every weekday. What time?
It comes on at 7 Eastern. That's 4 Pacific for those of us on the West Coast. Plus, you have our inside training camp coverage starting on Saturday, wall to wall. We'll have a lot.
And where are you going to be? Because you told me.
I'm going to be Houston, Washington, Baltimore, Detroit, Hall of Fame. I will be out here on the last day on August 7th, but I'm going to be all over. So I'm really excited.
Well, safe travels. It's so good to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Always.
All right. We're going to take a break here on Inside Raiders Training Camp. When we come back, much more to come. You never know who's going to stop by. I have a feeling they might be pretty big superstars. What do you think?
The big guys.
Coming through. To be a Raider is to be bold, powerful, and loyal.
Once a Raider, always a Raider.
Raider Nation family is authentic, with a heart here in Las Vegas. We are often imitated, but can never be duplicated. Why?
The autumn wind is a Raider.
Because there is only one nation.
Welcome back to Raiders Training Camp Special, along with Eric Allen, Amber Theo Harrison. Look who's stopping by, Davante Adams, the guy that nobody is talking about. He has made no headlines.
None at all.
In the press whatsoever. You have been busy, my friend, and it's just exciting to see you out there playing football.
Yeah.
How's it been for you this offseason?
It's been good. It's been good. It was a very productive offseason. Body feels great. I feel younger every year at this point, just learning my body and learning the best ways to train and keep myself healthy in a optimum position to come out here and be good when we start camp.
Yeah, been in your situation before. You're in year 10, 11, 12, multiple-time Pro Bowler or whatever. Mm-hmm. What is it that you worked on this offseason that you thought was critical and continue to elevate your game?
Well, something that I got to maintain and make sure, because obviously, the releases, the quickness and all those things and the cerebral approach, and that's something that I obviously pride myself on. But this year is just making sure I take care of my legs, man. Just trying to. We talked about it a little bit earlier, stretching, agility and all those things, but just taking weight off my back, and I'm not necessarily lifting as heavy and doing some of the things that you think you need when you first come into the league, but just maintaining and keeping my legs as healthy and fresh as I possibly can. So, this is probably the best that I've ever felt coming into a camp.
I know that you're focused on football, but so many people did watch the documentary on Netflix. It's such a big hit, and it highlighted a lot of your colleagues as well. What did you take out of that experience? I know you've answered a lot of questions. You learned about editing, how you could say something and things can be. And what a lot of people don't realize was that was shot during the season. A lot of what came out was addressed during the season and happened before Antonio Pierce came on the scene. So it's a different year, but just being in the spotlight like that, kind of venturing into Hollywood, what was that experience like?
I mean, it was cool. It was definitely a step outside of what I would normally do. I pride myself on being kind of more mysterious and, behind the scenes, and, I'm not really the big camera crew following you, doing that whole type of deal. But once they told me, when they first approached, I kind of wasn't as excited about the idea of doing it, just because, like I said, I want to be more low-key and not really bring that much attention to myself. And like I said, just part of me that I enjoy, and part of the thing that brings a little bit more fear into the people that I play is that they don't know as much. So they see the tape, and that's kind of all they really know. And I love being the football celebrity versus like the Hollywood celebrity, but it was something that I was kind of talked into. They upped the ante a little bit too. That helped.
Negotiate.
You can't be the one guy. You can't have Justin Jefferson and Amon Ra. They all say, you're like, wait a minute. Kittle? Okay,
don't listen. Don't listen to that. But yeah, it was cool. It was very, very uninvasive. Obviously they did a few things and followed me around in the outside world, seeing. They did the thing with my daughter's birthday.
That was cool.
Gymnastics class and things like that, but everything that they did outside of it was family related too, which helped a lot. So I enjoyed it. I think it would be great to look back and have said I got all that stuff captured, even though it was a little bit of drama, but it was the real. So that's why I wanted to make sure that was captured, was the real, no extra stuff, and all authentic 1-7. So that's what they got.
You remind me of like an old soul, like a guy who could have played.
I get that a lot.
Right?
I get that a lot. Yeah.
But it's not 80s or 90s.
No.
So how do you bridge that gap of socially being a superstar, and then your game is at its highest level? How do you bridge that gap, and what decisions do you make in the offseason or during the season that can affect or not affect how you're playing?
Well, I think that the problem is not like people end up changing to what they think they're supposed to be once they reach a certain level of success versus just maintaining who they are and staying true to themselves. So that's really what you see with me is, I grew up a certain way. I had to grow up real fast, and I was one of the younger ones in my family. So everybody, all my cousins, my brother, everybody was older. The only ones that were younger than me were the females. So I had all old souls around me. So that's kind of why I turned out the way that I did. And like I said, I pride myself on being a little bit mysterious, but also treating people a certain way and just staying true to who I am, man. And I'll stay that way to the day that I die. So it's gotten me to this point, and I've gotten a lot of acknowledgement for being the way that I am. So I guess in a way it kind of gave me a little bit more initiative to stay being the way that I am.
There you go.
It's nice to hear that one of your philosophies is staying consecutive as a human, and I think that's probably consistent as a human. I think that's probably translated onto the football field of being consistent as a football player. I mean, you just had, your fourth 100-plus, 1,000-yard-plus season as a receiver, which, by the way, only Antonio Brown. In a row. I stand corrected. Only Antonio Brown, Stephon Diggs, and Marvin Harrison have done that. So pretty good company. When you look back at last season, especially at the very end, the way that you guys ended it, what you saw from Aiden O'Connell, because you did get to see him, and now he's in a quarterback battle. What do you take away from that season that you're taking into this season?
Well, I mean, contrary to the way that the world believes, man, I think that I'm really proud of the way that he, handled last year. His start was not the ideal start. I mean, he had an amazing preseason, went out there and did everything he was supposed to do, extremely accurate, commanded the huddle, did everything, in that way, and he was very, very confident. And I could see it. It wasn't like it was like a silent swagger that I seen, and I had an appreciation for that. And then he got kind of thrusted into the fire in that San Diego game or LA game when we played the Chargers. So we go out there, and then he gets sacked by Maxx 6 times in the same game. Obviously finished the game not as great as what he would like as far as throwing the pick at the end of that. But the way that he handled that, and the way that he handled the way that the media tried to kill him, for a mistake like that, I was very proud of him. And he kept his head throughout the rest of the year and finished on a really good note. So very proud of him. He got a lot on his plate right now, but he has a lot to feel good about and a lot to give him some good confidence moving forward right now.
When you're in that huddle and they turn to you for advice, and being a young guy, a young receiver, and you're in the middle of the game, what kind of advice are you giving Aiden or Turner or some of the receivers?
Well, honestly, a dude like Aiden, I don't really. He doesn't have the demeanor of somebody that wants advice during the game. We talk, and he's more like, if I'm talking to Kobe or if I'm talking to Trey or something on the side, I can kind of see him kind of like, you're hustling a little bit to kind of see what's going on. Yeah, he always trying to soak up the game, which is the best way to do it. But the other thing is he's not that young. People think that he's like a 22-year-old.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
he's a little bit older, so
right. That COVID stuff.
Yeah. So you can see a little bit of his maturity and the age that creeps through, and he does a good job of managing himself. But I just try to make sure that he knows that I'm there if he ever needs me. And Trey and some of those other guys that are young that want to kind of get the same type of game, we talk a little bit more, and I'll say during the game, and he'll come directly and ask me certain things. But I'm an open book, so at the end of the day, whoever it is, O-lineman, whatever, I'm always there. And it's tough to really give advice and be like that in the huddle because you only got so much time. But, during the game, any way I can help, I always do that.
One of the biggest question marks to me looking from the outside in is, what is a Luke Getsy offense, right? So we saw what it was in Green Bay, but he has Aaron Rodgers, he has you there.
Yeah.
We saw what it was with Chicago. He has a running quarterback. So I think a lot of people are coming into this season going, okay, well, is it Aiden O'Connell? Is it Gardner Minshew? Those are two different quarterbacks as far as what they'll be asked to do. What can you tell us about what to expect from a Luke Getsy? It's not like a Kyle Shanahan offense where okay, I know exactly what this is going to look like.
Right.
It's kind of a blank slate a little bit.
Well, I say a few different teams have a similar operation to what we do, and everybody has their own way that they try to target it. Like the Niners is a similar offense, but the way that they run the ball it's definitely a little bit more run heavy, and they got good guys on that offense to do some of the gadgets with. So you'll see a little bit more of the the sameness within that. They'll try to marry up the pass game, run game, and we did something really similar with a little bit more pass heavy in Green Bay with Aaron, and then now that's kind of what this whole part is for right now, figuring out exactly the way we're going to attack teams with the offense that we have. And me being real familiar with what we're doing, it obviously helps. And half of the tape that we watch is my tape. So, we watching me run certain routes.
Is that weird?
I mean, not
from 8
really.
years ago?
Here's how you get it done.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is from 21 and 12.
Yeah. Okay. The MVP seasons.
Yeah. So we had some good stuff we put on tape there. So just finding out what the quarterback is comfortable with. Seeing how the receivers run certain routes, and then figuring out who you're going to put. We do different motions and all those things. So that's what training camp's for.
Yeah, that must be interesting to have a coach you've played with and had tremendous success, and then to have AP and just his energy and you guys' relationship, and to try and marry all those things together to come up with something that is going to give you guys confidence offensively and be successful. What is that like?
I mean, it's even easier having a guy like AP because, one, I don't know if he knows any of our plays. So it's out of our business over there. He won't really be too concerned. But he knows football, which is the best part. And knowing football and then not knowing the plays, I would take the guy that knows ball all day because he's going to, put the coaches in place and adapt and go off of whatever it is that you have versus trying to, make the players fit into a certain system. And, like I said, when we're going through camp right now, just finding out who runs, certain routes different types of ways, it kind of helps you learn yourself before before the bullets start flying for real.
A last question here. What are your expectations for this offense? Because I feel like everybody's talking about this could be one of the best defenses in the NFL, but nobody's really talking about the offense. What should people expect?
That's okay. Look, I hope everybody, when I go out there and golf, I hope everybody, that's why I tell people, what's your handicap? I just tell them, I give them a modest answer, and then I like to under promise and over deliver.
There you go.
That's really where we are right now, and they can doubt us all day. I tell the players and young guys, some of the young bucks like these two young bucks right here, I tell them the same thing. I say, don't ever, if somebody come and tell you that they feel like you're the best, take it with a grain of salt. If they tell you that they think you're the worst, take that with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, neither of those have any bearing on what you do on the field. So just because you don't think that we're going to be who, we may think we're going to be, that doesn't matter. And if we think we're going to be the greatest, that don't mean nothing either. You still got to put the work in and go out there and put together a good product and put some good stuff on film at the end of the day.
You talk about the young bucks sitting right here. We have some high-profile college players, receivers that came out to see you from the L.A. area, and they were watching you run routes. I said, if you do one thing at this camp, watch Davante Adams run a route, and their jaws were there.
Yeah. Well, we just starting right now too, so hopefully we can get them out here as many practices as possible when the bullets really start flying and doing some one-on-ones and really start to be more competitive. Today was a little bit more chill and going through run game and all of that stuff, but we getting ramped up here and definitely gonna put some good stuff on tape.
It's exciting. Hey, Davante, thanks for stopping by. We know that you're in demand.
Always, my man.
In demand, so thanks for making some time here for us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, got you.
Coming up next here on Raiders Training Camp Special, it is the leader of the defense, Maxx Crosby. What has he been up to in the offseason? What can we look forward to on this defensive line? That's next on Raiders Training Camp.
You're listening to Upon Further Review. I'm your host, Eddie Pascal.
Good morning, Raider Nation.
Welcome to Raiders Roundtable. JT along with Eddie Pascal.
He dissects the play quickly and makes the move to the football.
With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. Washington Commanders select Jaden New England Patriots select Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Joe Alt, Malik Neighbor, J.C. Latham, Rome Odunze,
J.J. McCarthy,
Olu Fashanu, Bo Nix.
As the commissioner has the Raiders pick, we have never had 13 straight picks on one side of the ball in succession at any point in any draft. So there's a lot on the line here.
When you're picking 13, you can go through you go through every scenario that could happen. So I knew we were prepared no matter what happened. So you're just kind of sitting there watching how it plays out. It's actually pretty quiet.
With the 13th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select
Welcome back to Raiders training camp. Along with myself, I got Eric Allen. And you guys know this dude. He probably got some tattoos in the offseason. Did you, Maxx Crosby? No more?
No, I didn't get any.
You have a whole leg that's open, though.
Yeah, I got I had to get a couple surgeries, so I wasn't really trying to go under again.
Right.
So, oh, my bad, I got to hold the mic up. But yeah, I got no new tattoos right now, so, I like where I'm at.
Off season is over. It's time to get with it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So just like I asked Davante, I always like to ask guys who are at the top of their game, what did they work on coming into this season, and how do you think that's going to elevate your game?
Yeah, the whole motto this offseason was refine and elevate. And me and Rick Slate, AJ, those guys, the strength staff, that was our focus every single day. We started January 22nd. It's been over 6 months straight. We were training, getting ready for this moment. 2 major surgeries, and we're working on a daily basis to improve and take that next step. So for me, it was about refining everything across the board, from meal prep, sleep, recovery, training, speed, technique, everything across the board. So there's always room for improvement in everything. There's not just, all right, I got it here. So now I just, how it is. You're the best in the game at the time. So there's always things to improve on. So literally everything across the board, I've been, fine-tuning and improving. And I'm looking forward to taking, that elevation, that big next step. So it's going to be the best year yet. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We remember you playing on that knee and seeing the knee after a couple of games. It looked like something out of a horror movie.
I know.
And you didn't quit. You went out there and you played. But now that you have the surgery, you had a thumb surgery too, correct?
Yeah.
How's everything feeling? Is it nice just to be able to move?
It's incredible. I've never felt better. It was a tough year, but I think times like that you really define who you are as a person. A lot of people, especially in the off season, things like that, there's a lot of talk, a lot of chitter chatter, but when it really comes down to it, when the bullets are flying, that's who you figure out who your teammates are, who are the real ones, who are the ones that are really about it. And I feel like I show my teammates on a daily basis what I'm about, and I take a lot of pride in that. So like I said, you could be, there's guys that are vocal and things like that, and I'm vocal at times, but I feel like you got to lead by action on a daily basis to really get the guys to believe in you and follow what you got going. So for me, that's what it's all about. I'm feeling incredible. Surgeries, everything went well. I've been running over 20 miles an hour consistently all off season, flying, conditioning tests, running with the DBs and receivers, smoking their ass. So you could watch the tape.
I used to hate that when the lineman or somebody wanted to come and join, because now I got to push the level. I got to go faster than I need to go.
What was your 40 time when you were out of the combine? What was your 40?
I ran a 4.6, but we're not running. We're running faster than that now, for sure. We're hitting 21. Yeah, we're rolling.
To follow up on Amber's question, talk to us a little bit about how important the mental aspect of it, overcoming the surgeries and stuff. Yeah, you can work, but doesn't it start mentally?
It's different. Yeah, it's definitely different. I know me, like my personality, like I have an obsession with improvement. Like every single day, I can't just sit around, or I feel like I'm missing out, or I'm not doing enough. So every day I feel like I just want to go. And that's why AP and all these guys are like, chill.
Right.
But that's what makes me who I am. But at the same time, I got to trust the people I'm working with.
Yeah.
And this past year, I was forced to do that. And I feel like everything happens for a reason. It forced me to be more limited in practice at times, which I hated, but I had to do it. You know what I mean? I couldn't with the knee. So I was forced to be limited at times. I was forced a couple times, I had to take a Wednesday and be in the tub and work with Rick in the weight room and things like that. So I had to trust that process because I had no other choice. And it really made me improve, because at the end of last season, I was even playing better ball. You know what I mean? So it's just like trusting that process and trusting the team around me, because in your career, there's always going to be different. Every year is different, you know what I mean? There's going to be different type of adversity, different type of things going on. And for me, it's just about trusting my team, from Rick to Tim Grover to Alex Guerrero, all the guys in my corner on a daily basis, my wife, everyone involved. It's a tight-knit circle, but we're all on the same page on a daily basis, and I got to trust everyone. Ricky, my nutritionist, everything across the board, I want everything elite, and that's how you continue to, refine and elevate. So that's what we've been doing.
I don't think there's an NFL fan out there, they might even like the Chargers or the Chiefs, that isn't excited about the defensive line. Right. How do you not look at this line and say this could be one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL? Describe what it's been like. Well, when you first found out that Christian Wilkins was coming over, what was that reaction? And then going, hold on, we got Tyree in his second year, and wait, Malcolm Kuhn? I mean,
yeah,
was there that realization that we could be bad?
Yeah, of course. it really comes down to the day-to-day process. You know, we have so many guys that can really go, and my coach, you know, said it. I just said it in the other press conference, but my coach in college, Coach Creighton, he always said it, and it stuck with me. He's like, if your best players are your hardest workers, you're going to have a high chance to win. So guys like myself, Christian, Malcolm, and AB, John Jenkins, all of us, like, you have guys like that are on the D-line flying to the ball, like, you got no other choice. You know how it is. You see the DBs, we're passing on DBs, they're like, shit, I know I'm
gotta pick it up.
You got to pick it up. So, like, you're seeing that, and we feel like that bleeds to the team. We talk about being the engine. So, yeah, there's a lot of hype around us. Like, we basically have the same D-line and just added Christian, which is incredible. So we have to go out and do it. We know what our goal is. Everyone knows that. Like, there's no, you know, we want to be one of the best. We want to be the best. We already know that. That's how I carry myself. It's how Christian carries himself. It's how Malcolm. All these guys are hungry, and you see them chasing after me. You see them chasing after Christian trying to beat us. I'm like, you're going to have to do it every day because I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean? So that's how you get better, and it's been incredible. You know, Christian's been an incredible addition. Dude works his ass off, brings great energy, and it's just been fun, man. We're excited.
Every good team I've been a part of or been around, when you come to practice, you can have an ear, and it's always the D-line guys who are shouting and competing, and it's the same thing here. You bring that great energy, and I think the way you've been able to play has really helped the younger guys take that next step up. Who do you see in your group being able to take that next step?
I mean, I can go on and on, but it's hard not to say Malcolm. Malcolm's been a dude, you know, going into his 4th year now, played in the MAC just like me, and undersized
Shout out
kid.
Mac.
Big shout out to the Mac. Mac bred everybody. So coaches, players, if you didn't have a stint in the Mac, you're probably not around anymore. But, you know, the Mac is incredible. But, yeah, my guy Malcolm, you know, just seeing the way he works, how he's evolved as a person, as a player, his confidence, his swag, the way he carries himself now. Like, I've seen him at his lows, and I've been there for him at his lows. And it's, you know, when I was a younger player, you had guys like, you know, Chandler Jones around. I was real close with Von Miller, and, like, I was going through those hard times. You know, you have a few weeks without a sack, you're freaking out. I'm calling Von, and I'm like, yo, Von, what am I doing wrong? He's like, bro, just keep going. You know what I mean?
He's feeding his chickens. He'll be all right.
Cowboy hat on, chilling. But, like, those type of guys, those greats, those legends, like, they helped me when I was a young guy. And I didn't, you know, I can't, you know, I talk about Von all the time, but, like, I love those dudes for life. You know, they helped me at my lowest, and that's when you know if somebody's really there for you. And so, like, a guy like Malcolm, I took a lot of pride in that because he was taking a lot of heat. People were like, oh, he doesn't love football. He does, you know, he's got low energy. I'm like, y'all just don't understand Malcolm. Malcolm is a worker. Malcolm loves it. He just, you have to treat everybody different. Everybody needs to be coached different. That's what the greatest coaches do.
That's right.
They coach they know how to get everybody going in a different way. So, like, a guy like Malcolm, I'm so excited for him. Like I said, his potential is limitless. The dude is an absolute baller, and I'm excited to, you know, to continue rushing with him.
I think so are we. What about Tyree Wilson? A lot of big expectations, being a high draft pick. What have you seen from him in his development, and what do you think he needs to do to really have a great second year?
It's really about the day-to-day, routine, consistency, and attitude. And what you're doing off the field, what you're doing on the field, you got to be, like I said, a lead across the board, and it's hard to do. But on a daily basis, you got to keep showing up. And a guy like him, he's got the intangibles, he's got the size, he's got the speed. It's about putting it all together. You know, it's fine-tuning the little things, the ankle flexibility, the what do I need to get better in the weight room? Am I flexible enough? It's everything. You know what I mean? If you want to be that guy and be consistent in this league, you know how it is. It's the hardest league in the world. There's a reason why there's only 1,500 dudes on the planet that can do it. We got 8 billion people out here. A very small number that can do it. You know what I mean? It's not easy, and people don't realize that. And I don't care where you get drafted. There's guys that go undrafted and ball out. There's dudes that go first round and struggle. So it really doesn't matter. That's the outside opinion. But for him, he's been continuing to improve. He's still got room to grow, just like all of us. But in our group, like, he has no choice. Like you said, your hardest worker, me, Christian, Mal, all of us you have no choice but to work hard. If you're not a hard worker, then it's going to be glaringly obvious. You know what I mean? He has no choice, and he's had a great attitude. He's getting better every day, and, you know, I'm excited for him.
I think this environment, too, will help young guys because you're not going home after practice. You're in a hotel.
You got to see Maxx at dinner.
You got to see him at dinner or in the film room. 100%. So talk to us a little about this environment and how the camaraderie chemistry, and everything's working so far.
I love it. I love it. You know what I mean? You get to live it every day. You don't. It's football. Eat, sleep, breathe it. It's literally around the clock. So I love it. There's nothing better. You know, and we get a chance to be closer, be around the guys. Everyone gets to experience, kind of, being in camp with your boys, and you have no family really. It's just
go back to high school.
Yeah, it's back to the high school. Back in college, we would go off to Ohio for like a week or two, and you're around the guys all the time. So it's been really cool. We've been only, we just got here yesterday, but it's like we're, like in camp. Just staying around each other, doing everything together. It's been special.
Before we let you go, one last question. You're a leader of men. You're a motivator, but so is AP. And I want to know what he said to you guys when you arrived at camp. Like, what was the message from day one?
Yeah, it was incredible. AP, every time he steps up there, he's very confident.
Yes,
you know what you're going to get from him. And that's all you can ask for. We know what we signed up for. We know we're going to hit. We know we're going to fight. We know we're going to get after each other. But we're here to get better. And that's all that matters. It's about writing our own history right now. And that's really what it is. Guys like you back in the day, everyone talks about the Raiders 25 years ago. But it's time for us to write our own history. So that's what our goal is, and that's what we're working on. So we're fired up.
The Raiders mystique. It's been talked about for generations. Can't wait to get back to that. Looking forward to seeing you out here every day at camp. Thanks for being here with us, Max.
Always a pleasure, man.
Absolutely.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Raiders Training Camp. Coming up next week, we'll see you right back here for episode 2. You don't want to miss it.